Chris Brintle. Chris Brintle.
News Talk 1270 KIML. Actually heard, I think it was ESPN Radio using this for bumper music the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they listen.
They must listen.
I think they're stealing your stuff, DC.
They probably are. Wouldn't be the first time somebody stole my stuff. Okay, so first off...
typically, speaking of stealing your stuff, by the way, didn't mean to interrupt, but usually I'll tell people I'm Don Carpenter.
Oh, well.
If they're not sure. Aren't you on the radio? Yes, I am. I'm Don Carpenter. That way I don't get stuff thrown at me.
Well,
they like you in the community. Me, not so much.
You know, it's funny. Usually I don't tell people what I do. Like this weekend I went to Vegas, and it's I think it's no big secret. I was in Vegas for the weekend, and we'll talk about the Ronda Rousey fight and my bet on that in just a second. But when people ask what I do, I just say I work for a radio station. They ask, "Are you a DJ?" I just say yes, because I don't really. When I go on vacation, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about anything important. I just want to eat and drink and gamble. That's really all I wanted to do. And I did a little bit of shopping too. I mean, they have some pretty good outlet stores in Vegas. So it was a nice weekend. Although I will say Saturday it was nicer here than it was in Las Vegas. I think at one point I looked at my phone and it said it was like 92 degrees and sunny here. It was cloudy, drizzling, 82 degrees in Las Vegas.
Oh, I like drizzly weather though. So
on the first day of August, it's a desert. I didn't go down there to sit in the rain. I wanted to go sit by the pool and drink a big, huge drink out of a pineapple, which I did do on Saturday. I did do that was it Sunday. I did that on Sunday. It was, I don't know, it was in the upper 90s Sunday, and then for some reason it got hotter Sunday night. By the time we went to bed Sunday night, it was like 105 degrees at 11 p.m. So I don't know why it got warmer, but it did. Okay, so last week we talked a little bit about this Ronda Rousey fight and whether it would be good to put money on this fight. And I think the conclusion we came to is that unless you're rich and can put huge amounts of money on it, there was nothing to be made in betting on Ronda Rousey. Little did I know they would have prop bets. I didn't even think about the prop bets when I got there. But when I got there, I went to the sports book, and that's one of the first places I usually go. First thing I looked at was futures for the NFL and NBA. We've talked about the Spurs. They opened up at I think 12 or 15 to 1 to win the NBA championship, which would have been good money. I would have put money on the Spurs. But it's been bet down to 3 to 1.
Wow, really?
Yeah, at least at Caesars, which is the Rio and Harrah's and Bally's, and
I could see that. Yeah. It's not that far fetched that they win it. They still have all their pieces intact.
Well, and apparently everyone had the same idea that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Go bet on the Spurs. So they've been bet down to 3 to 1.
What was it for the Thunder?
Thunder, I think, were 2 to 1, 4 to 1, something like that. They were up there. It was Golden State, then the Cavs. I think Golden State was like, I think 3 to 2. I think the Cavs were 2 to 1, something like that, and then it kind of goes from there.
Makes sense. Those are the 4 best teams in my eyes.
Yeah. So really the only 4 teams have a chance. But that's kind of where it went from there. In the NFL, the Ravens were hanging right around 20 to 1. That's where they opened. I think they were at 18 to 1. If they were about 25 to 1, I would have probably made the bet. 25 to 1 is a good place to put them as far as odds. But I mean, it really wouldn't have been a good bet at 18. So I just laid off on that, and then I found for the fight Saturday night, I found a prop bet under 1.5 rounds. they weren't taking anything smaller than 1.5 rounds. So you could either bet that the fight would be over in 1.5 rounds, or it would be, it would go longer than 1.5. It was a 5-round fight. And the funny thing about this bet is either fighter could have won, and I still would have won if it was under 1.5 rounds. So the only way I saw Ronda Rousey losing is if it was just some kind of massive Mike Tyson-like collapse due to being famous. And I didn't see that happening, but you never know. And if that's the case, it would have been just a train wreck, and she would have gotten clobbered in less than 1.5 rounds. So I would have won. It was still, the money wasn't very good. I think $20 bet paid $26.25. So I won $6 on 20.
Wow.
So I mean, even that's how bad it was. Some casinos apparently weren't even taking bets that it would go the distance.
Well, $6. That's 6 McChickens. So
Yeah.
can't beat that.
Yeah, I certainly put that $6 to good use later on. But I wanted to make some kind of bet on the fight because, I mean, you can play pretty much any other game in Deadwood, but you can't do sports betting. So that's something that I didn't want to do. Of course, it was over in 34 seconds. Got to be the best fighter in the world right now, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
By far. Not only is she the best fighter in the world, but she's surpassed any male fighter as far as popularity. I mean, it's the Rousey Nation right now. It's unbelievable.
It really, it's unbelievable because at one point, the president of UFC, Dana White, said, "Look, we're never going to have women fighting in my promotion."
It was 2011.
And it's the only thing keeping his business alive right now. I mean, nobody really knows anybody but Ronda Rousey. And all you have to do is go online during the fight and watch the reactions. There are so many women now interested in this the sport.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge for them.
It's just great for the sport because not only is it good for the UFC, but just women's MMA in general, because now you're going to have a crop of, adolescent women that want to fight when they grow up because of Ronda Rousey. Well, that wasn't the case 10 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of girls didn't grow up in their teenage years thinking, I think I want to be a fighter. Now that's going to balloon. And so that's only going to grow the sport. So it's extremely key. I think it's key for women's MMA for her to keep going and keep, if she does finally lose, I think it's going to be very important that she doesn't just kind of fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
That she keeps at it and then maybe even makes a comeback if she does ever lose. She may not ever lose, to be quite honest with you. But
and here's the thing, and I actually heard Jonathan Coachman from used to be in WWE.
The coach.
He was analyzing the fight with Chael Sonnen after the fight. It was like breaking news on ESPN. I mean, as soon as it was over, they broke right into whatever they were doing. And the thing is, he pointed out that she has about a 10 years head start on all these women. I mean, she was doing judo in the Olympics, and she was doing this stuff when nobody else was doing it. Right. She was practicing for this when there was nobody else being a professional fighter. So she has a head start. Within a couple years, you'll start seeing women with similar skill sets. So as long as she wants to be champion, she'll be champion. But it'll probably take 3 or 4 years for everyone else to catch up to her and actually be a real threat. The question is whether she'll be a draw until then. I don't know. We have a call. Let's give it a shot.
A real threat.
News Talk 1270, you're on the air. Okay. Just remember, turn off your radios when you call in. So, of course, even something like this, a great woman fighter, being a great champion, she's a good role model. She doesn't, she doesn't do anything bad. She knows how to conduct herself in the media. She doesn't say anything out of sorts, so to speak. Even that still gets some kind of controversy from someone who of course, someone always has to be offended about something.
Uh-oh.
And here's why people are offended with Ronda Rousey. Now, they had to dig pretty far back for this one. Ronda Rousey at one point said she would not fight a fighter called Fallon Fox. It's this fighter's name, because she's transgender. She used to be a man, and Rousey said, "Look, I can't fight somebody that's not physically fit to be a fighter in my organization. UFC doesn't allow transgender fighters." And I mean, there's good science behind that, because again, look, I mean, whatever you want to do with your life is fine. I mean,
right.
I have no problem if people want to do all these surgeries and hormones and stuff. But here's the thing. You still have the bone structure of a man. I mean, men have longer arms, they have larger muscles, and the hormones and all that kind of stuff doesn't change that. You're going to have bigger fists. I mean, there's just physical advantages. That's why you don't have men playing in the WNBA.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't be fair if a transgender man wanted to play in the WNBA.
Yeah, right. And to me, it's not much different than really a weight class.
Well,
I mean, you're not going to have a 145-pound fighter fight somebody that's 215 pounds.
Well,
whether they're men, women, that to me, it's almost that's the comparison that somebody can wrap their head around. At the same time, though, I mean, let's be honest. People always talk about if she can fight men. How about we have her fight? She'll start with the transgendered. Fight a couple.
Well, see,
and then is it like baseball stats? You know, with the useless baseball stats.
Yeah.
So after she beats the 3 transgendered people, and then it's like, oh, she's 3-0 versus transgendered people, and now she's going to fight her first male.
Well, see, and
it's like
and that's the thing. It starts turning into Andy Kaufman at some point. And I mean, look, I mean, there are probably look, anyone that's not a professional fighter that's a man, that's not more than 175 or 180 pounds, that wouldn't have a weight advantage. Ronda Rousey could probably rip your arm off. Like me.
Oh, yeah. I have a weight advantage, and she would still rip my arm off and beat me with it.
And
I'd enjoy that, by the way.
But a trained fighter with the bone structure and the muscle structure of a man, whether they have all the parts of a man or not, is going to have an unfair advantage. Although it would be funny if she did fight this Fallon Fox and just completely destroyed him, her, whatever. It would be hilarious, but it wouldn't be fair to the promotion, and it would just open up a huge Pandora's box. Okay, let's try the call one more time. News Talk 1270, you're on the air.
Morning. How are you guys?
Good. What's up?
Hey, you were talking about Ronda Rousey as far as being a role model and stuff like that. Well, at the end of the fight, she didn't seem to be a role model for the kids, for the unsportsmanship at the end, where her opponent was trying to put out her hand and everything else, and Rousey looked at her and just walked away. And what kind of sportsmanship is that?
Yeah, well, there's a story behind that too. Hey, thanks for the call. You're a little bit staticky. There is a story behind that. I mean, it would have been nicer if she would have, touched gloves at the end of the fight and helped her opponent up. That would have been nicer, but this other fighter was not saying very nice things about her family. Apparently she her mouth wrote a check that her rear end couldn't cash. We'll just put it that way.
Revolving around Ronda's father, I believe.
Yeah, Ronda's father who passed away. So, I mean, it would be nice if you could look past that. And she addressed it after the fight. She said, "You don't say that about my family."
Right.
She's very, very intense.
Even so, I think we put too much stock in sportsmanship, honestly, because look, certain people are just different, and so to have a winner's mentality, certain people have to be a warrior, whether they're on the field or in the ring. And sports, and you can't. It's not an off and on button. You can just turn on just like that. when the fight's over, you're not just automatically nice and you go up and shake somebody's hand. Some people aren't like that. Some people are. Some people are more when they're on the field or fighting.
You do see that a lot in UFC. Those guys,
right?
They hug each other. I mean, it would have been nice, but I don't know.
But some people can't just turn that switch.
Yeah.
And so, sportsmanship,
I mean, it's not like she was driving 140 miles an hour in a Bentley with a handgun and a 12-year-old kid in the back.
Right.
like New York Jets players. Okay, what do we have going on in sports?
Oh, we have some Rough Rider baseball news.
Okay, sounds good. We'll see you in an hour. News Talk 1270 KIML.
Please remain seated until the show comes to a complete stop. Thank you. Carry on.
Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270 KIML. 70 KIML. 70 KIML.